You want the kind of story that keeps folks listening even if they never set foot in Texas. A story where the dirt under your boots means more than any title deed, and a war with an HOA turns into something epic. All right, let's sit on this porch a minute, and I'll tell you how my family's land almost got swallowed by the biggest scam this side of Johnson County, and how we sent them packing, one Botox smile at a time. I'll never forget the day my old man died. You don't really prepare for a call like that, but it came anyway, and suddenly, just like that, I was the last field standing between 150 stubborn acres and the bulldozers lining up at the edge of Clear Sky Estates. See, the thing about Texas land? It remembers. Every cut, every sweat stain, every fight, it soaks in. And this place, Coalfield Acres, it's more than a stretch of pasture and a pond. It's the reason you get up in the dark, and the reason you're not afraid to stand alone. I came back expecting grief and weeds, not a corporate siege. First few weeks, I kept busy, patching fences, listening to the kind of silence you don't get in Austin anymore, the kind that tells you exactly who you are. Thought maybe I'd have time to settle in, find my own rhythm. Then came the knock. She showed up looking like a country club statue. Karen Criswell, president of Clear Sky Estates HOA, all crisp lines, and that artificial smile Botox. She handed me a folder so thick I half expected a subpoena to fall out. Offer was $500,000 for the farm. The whole damn thing. I could barely keep from laughing. $500,000 for land that had never seen a mortgage in 3 generations. Renderings inside made my skin crawl. Zen garden amphitheater, wellness spa. My family home penciled in as some leasing office like it never held Christmas or funerals or the sound of my dad's boots coming in from the field. I told her no, straight up, like I was swatting a mosquito. She blinked, like that wasn't in her playbook, then warned me about upkeep and how I should take this offer seriously. I handed her the folder, told her not to come back unless she brought better manners. 2 days later, county code violations showed up in my mailbox. Burning brush, chemical storage, runoff, all made up. The signature on the notice wasn't even anyone at the office. I checked. Somebody broken into my barn, too. Nothing missing, just my maps laid out like somebody was plotting something. Next morning, HOA signs staked in my yard, threatening prosecution for trespass. I ripped them out, threw them in my truck, and drove to the sheriff. Harlan, big guy from high school, just shook his head. Clear Sky's been busy lately. Yeah, no kidding. Didn't take long for the flyers to start. Welcome to the future Clear Sky District. My farm photoshopped into their plans, tennis courts over my vineyard. Neighbors started knocking, smiling, asking if I'd consider friendly annexation. I told one, the only thing I'm annexing is more barbed wire. Then came letters. Some pleading, some threatening. A certified buyout for $525,000. Little bonus for good faith. Burned it, right there next to the vineyard. That's when Bill showed up, retired contractor, 6-pack in hand, worried look on his face. They're voting tonight to make it official. Jeremy, he muttered. Karen's pushing hard. Might want to show up. So I did. Walked into that beige-smelling community hall, Karen already holding court in front of a PowerPoint with my land labeled Future Development. She called me out in front of everybody, said the board extended generous offers that I ignored, so now the community needed to act. I let her talk, then stood up, phone recording. This land's been in my family 80 years, I told them. We've survived drought, fire, dead, and now, apparently, yoga decks and vision boards. I'm not selling, and I don't need your bylaws. Karen tried to pivot, called me nostalgic, irrational, standing in the way of progress. I told her, you're right, I can't stop progress, but I can keep it off my porch. Got a little applause for that, just enough to make her jaw tighten. On my way out, she tried to grab my phone. I just stared her down. You can't buy history, Karen. And you can't steal it, either. That should have been the end, but with folks like her, no just means try harder. Next day, a backhoe tore into my pond bank. 2 men waving a fake HOA work order told me they were stabilizing runoff. I threatened trespass, started filming, called the sheriff. They left, but not before they tore up decades-old marsh and half my fence. I logged everything, photos, videos, maps. That's when I started getting serious. A drone appeared, low and slow, circling my vineyard like it owned the sky. The third time it buzzed past my bedroom window, I grabbed my dad's old Remington and sent it to drone heaven. 10 minutes later, Karen's son, her lawyer, calls to threaten legal action. I countersued. Judge tossed it out before they finished their speech. Said, "This is an HOA throwing rocks at a hornet's nest." Best line I heard all year. That's when I called in the big guns, my grandpa. Korean War vet, retired judge, backbone straight as a fence post. He showed up the next morning, Stetson hat, brown funeral coat, manila folder from the 60s. In it, a county charter exemption, signed, sealed, notarized in 1969, saying Coalfield Acres could never, not ever, be part of any HOA, not Clear Sky, not anybody. "You're not fighting law," he told me. "You're fighting folks who never got dirt under their nails. Remind them what land means." Next HOA meeting, Grandpa stood up in front of everybody, waved that yellowed exemption like a warrant, and read it out loud. Karen tried to spin. "Development standards have evolved," she said, smiling so tight I thought her teeth might shatter. Grandpa just leaned in. "You don't own the ground. That's the point." She didn't have an answer. The whole room went quiet. Outside, she was on the phone, panicking. We knew it wasn't over. Next day, unmarked construction trucks showed up, claimed to have drainage work orders. I filmed, called the law, installed new cameras, checked my boundaries twice. Another drone, another shotgun shell, another bluff from Karen's lawyer. Didn't last long once the FAA fined them for unlicensed use. Pressure kept building, but so did my evidence pile. So Grandpa and I started digging, not holes, paperwork. At the county clerk's office, we found altered environmental reports, fake signatures, secret consultant payments. Turned out, Karen was paying an inspector to fabricate violations. Her own board notes called it compliance encouragement. We packaged up every last receipt, email, and meeting note, handed it to the DA, and waited. Didn't have to wait long. Karen got hauled out of her next HOA meeting in handcuffs. Charges longer than a rainless summer. Wire fraud, bribery, forgery, you name it. News crews called it the Coalfield sting. I called it finally getting a good night's sleep. After she was denied bail, the rest of the board caved. They dissolved the HOA, apologized in the paper, even sent flowers. My grandpa framed the article. Now, the only flyers in my mailbox are Tractor Supply coupons and the occasional thank you card from neighbors who'd been bullied too. We fixed up the barn, bottled some muscadine wine, carved a sign for the front gate. 80 years, never HOA. People stop and take pictures now. Sometimes developers try again, but I tell them the same thing I told Karen. You want this land, you better be ready to outlive us. Grandpa sits on the porch most mornings, coffee strong enough to take paint off a tractor. He tells me, "You see a clipboard, you shoot first, ask questions later." You know, he's only half joking. Truth is, I learned more fighting for this dirt than I ever did in college. About people, about standing your ground, about how fast you lose yourself when you sell your story for somebody else's spreadsheet. So here's my advice. Don't let a boardroom full of strangers decide what your family's sweat and memory is worth. Because once you trade history for convenience, you don't own your land anymore. You just rent your past from people who never earned it. Out here, we don't do empires. We do roots, we do resistance, and we damn sure do legacy. But hey, that's just my story. Maybe you see it different. Maybe you think HOA's got a point, or maybe you fought your own war over a patch of ground that mattered. Tell me, where do you stand? What does justice look like in your neighborhood? Drop your take in the comments. And if you ever pass through Johnson County, stop by for a glass of wine and a story. Just don't bring a clipboard.